So we are going to introduce ourselves because some of you don't know who we are. We start with myself, Raul James, business and property owner here in the downtown for Jesus Christ, 43 years. Yeah. Right. Nice.
I'm Mario Reyes. We're with the Sound Church on 4th and French. We are ones that bought the preacher building. We're here for barely a year, but we're excited to do a lot of good work out here in downtown.
I am Bethany Shermer, and I'm also with the Sound.
Kim Tapper, property manager and part owner of the building that you're currently on. Welcome to the coffee business. You can hear that. Dr. Mosley. Welcome.
And I'm Bobby River. I've lived here all my life. Well, not that quite not long. I belong to San Church. And if you want to know history about Disneyland or Folk Hospital, come see me.
My name is Juan Paniagua. I am a realtor. I am the founder of the Social Club and the owner of the
My name is also Thank you.
Tristan Laberry, OCPA, and the public outreach manager of the OC Structure Project.
Hi, my name is Carla Alvarez. I'm owner of Veronica Cairo for 20 years. Here.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Maria Gonzalez and I do social media.
Speaking of social media real quick, are they able to hear us now? Yeah. The people on Zoom, so they can.
Myself. Yeah, okay. I'm Claudia Reganes, Secretary for San Fernando Business Council, business owners for 34 years until recently last year. But I'm still here in the organization.
My name is Madeline Spencer, and I'm a Jane consultant for Santa Ana Business Council for now 7 years.
Mike Hussein, I believe the officers down the street. I'm also a board member.
Arturo Romania, Dennis in downtown and property owner downtown.
And Arturo is also a board member. Thank you. Okay, so let's approve a committee of 3 or 4 board members to pursue discussion with the city, Santa Ana, downtown, and others to work towards a shared vision for downtown and how best to manage and resources, including the potential emerging downtown bid organization, their vision, outreach and strategic planning process. Recommended action approved the committee. 2 and 3. The third one is also a committee for special events and marketing committee. 3 or 4 board members to plan special events and allocate budget funds. Recommended action approved the committee. Do we all approve that? And if you have any comments or you want to discuss these 2 items, you're welcome, and I think we should do that. So just to give you a little bit of update, about a month and a half ago, I had a meeting with the city manager. Ryan Chase was there, Vince Sarmiento, Jonathan Hernandez, city manager, and also Supervisor Oli. And Anna also. So the city manager recommend that we form. Well, she recommend that she would like to have one association in the downtown. I'm open for any comments.
Did she mention you how this merging would occur? What would be the process of merging? Would there be one board, just one board, and would that include the merging of both boards that are Downtown Inc. and this organization and be one board?
One board only.
Yeah, but would it just merge into one?
Yes.
But no, actually, well, the main thing is that they just suggested it.
Mhm.
And one of the things that they're asking us to do, and there was one other special meeting just to discuss what something like this would look like. And so far, the groups are saying that in order to do anything even similar, we would have to do some kind of get a consultant and do a strategic planning process with everyone in downtown, including the new groups that have become very active since the construction. So that there's an all-inclusive, like, working together to create a vision for downtown. So it's a lot larger. There's not any immediate merger like what you're thinking. And our legal team has to be involved as well, and they're not even here right now.
One thing that came about with these discussions and after this meeting is in talking with Madeline and Ryan Smaller, who is the consultant for Downtown Inc., both of who have a lot of knowledge about business improvement districts. They're very common across the country, even the world, and they're best practices. And some of the bids, like you think Santa Monica, San Diego, New York, I mean, they're just phenomenal what they do for their cities. Pasadena, there's consultants that help you put together a long-term plan. So our strategic plan would likely go till 2030. And we would hire this consultant. They would come in and they would say, this is the best practices in terms of how to fund your bids, how they should be comprised in terms of both board members. So in other words, if 20% of your downtown is bridal, then possibly, that should be a percentage on the board. And so, there's just better representation, there's neutrality. And I think the other thing that really strikes me about why this is probably just such a good way to go and something we want to push for as an organization is that there's always change of leadership at the city, at the bids. And so if you have a strategic plan, it outlasts the individual leaders that maybe have a vision. And so in other words, it helps put the downtown on a trajectory that is sustainable year after year after year. And there's been a lot of things about the bid process for our organization that have been painstaking to watch. In other words, we have to go in and request funding every single year. It's hours and hours and hours of paperwork that just to get minimum funding. And so I think, what we want to do is have a strategic plan where we have a 5-year plan. So we're not spending every single year just trying to get the minimum with hours and hours and hours of our consultants. So those are kind of the things that we had talked about.
The city manager was not clear if they would give us $1 million for 5 or 10 years. She was not clear about that. I would like to have or see the $1 million 5 or 10 years, not every year signing a contract with the city. Because then at the end of the year, anything can change. Knowing what happened after the previous bid, it might benefit 1 year, but then the next year they can just say, this is finished, and we'll go only with Downtown, not with SABC.
The other thing that, just one more piece of information, both Councilman Hernandez, and I don't know if it was represented to you, but they said, if you do this, we'll give you, instead of the 100,000 or the 200,000 you're given, we'll give you $1 million of a budget, which would be much more substantial. It's hard to know if that would actually happen, but it's something that we can certainly negotiate in our memorandum of understanding.
Yes.
So this element that you're talking about, is that above what we pay for taxes?
Yeah.
So the when we pay for taxes on money, we shouldn't, ask, for a handout as our money, as business owners. So, when you're saying that the manager is offering, manager can't offer that money because it's our money, every one of us is contributing to the taxes. So it's our money, so we should have all the money. Well, thank you for giving us, our money back. I mean, we paid.
I think our money actually in total, the merchant fund is, I think, what, 260,000 for this year, split between downtown. So they would give money over and above.
The
That sounds
city
like
would
a-
support the business improvement district, which so far, over the past 7 years, from what we've seen, while we've had some, in the very beginning, some economic development support, we have not had city support. So the city would actually be contributing to the downtown rather than not
Yeah,
contributing.
they never done that.
Exactly. That's what they're saying they will do if we're one group rather than multiple.
We had one group, before and they never did that.
It never worked before, and I don't think it would work now. But if we work on the strategic planning, then, we can ask for how that money would come from the city. And I would think the city mentioned that they would get the money from the general fund. So I think maybe the bid will be done. We don't have to pay any more.
Taxes, for more taxes.
Yeah, more
Well,
taxes.
then without paying taxes, then we don't have a bid.
Exactly, yeah.
I think that the strategic plan, as I understand it, would dive into different ways to fund their revenue sources. So there's different mechanisms. You can tax the merchants, you can tax, everyone gets a business license, you can tax property owners, you can also tax residents, do some sort of combination therein, or also you can do fundraising. So I think that, and then, contributions from the general fund of the city. So I think it would be interesting to have a consultant say, this is really the best way to fund a bid, or how other cities are funding their bids.
So were you planning on asking the group if they want to convene, if there wants to be a small committee to work on?
I'm asking the board to form a committee of 2 or 3 or 4 persons. I'm one of them. Who else would it be available for the committee? So we have 2.
I agree. But you may want a business person on. I would do it unless you need more of a business person. Yeah. Well, to your point.
The thing is that the board, that the board is supposed to approve this committee. So we,
Claudia, would you, because you're really have such an understanding of the finances and the history, I think I just take you for this committee, but I think you're a vital piece of it.
And Lonnie said she'd be on it.
Yes, the 2 of you should be.
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And I don't need to be on it, but I'm happy to.
You just, now you do.
Okay.
For your knowledge.
One additional thing that I think that was said at the downtown Inc. meeting that Ryan Chase said, and I think this is important too. When we do our memorandum of understanding with the city, if it goes through, we will have a default. Like, you either pass this and give us the $1 million, or the default is we're going to continue as we are with the funding in place. And so I think, there's a negotiation there that we're going to kind of say, you either really go with us, or we're going to continue in the same vein that we are now and demand that you fund us.
it has been really frustrating for the last 2 years and a half. Because we really have to go and beg for money. And what we do, in terms of the promotion of the downtown and the well-being of the businesses prior to the disruption of the street, okay, prior to that. Everything goes back to the city. It's whatever they invest in the downtown, it goes back to them in taxes, in businesses. And so, but they don't seem to understand that. And also it's been a struggle every time. And last year was really ridiculous, because what can we do with the $100,000 a year? I mean, here we are, a board member of 15 people, and all of the other people that, you know, their mindset is in this, and we want to prosper, we want to thrive. And my goodness, we go there and not even $100,000. So what are we doing? So we need to really do something and have a very strong memorandum of understanding and be right there fighting for this.
Do we need to do Spanish translation for some of this?
Sí, estoy comentando que por los últimos años, sin contar ahora que ya se interrumpió la calle, ¿verdad? Hemos estado batallando muchísimo porque no tenemos más que un budget de $100,000 cada organización, que eso viene del bid de las licencias, de lo que todos los comerciantes pagan, su porción. Y a cada organización nos toca con $100,000. Antes nos daban el presupuesto, otros $100,000 de lo que se recuperaba de las estructuras de los estacionamientos. Eso lo pararon hace 2 años y ya no lo dan. Que porque no hay negocio en los estacionamientos, nada de eso. Ahora, aunado a eso, siempre les hemos pedido, por favor, pinten los garajes, ilumínenlos y tenganlos limpios y seguros. Y ustedes saben el problema que es y lo que nos encontramos cuando entramos a ellos. Entonces, la ciudad no comprende que no podemos hacer nada con $100,000 al año. Es un presupuesto para todo el año. Sin embargo, tenemos todas estas personas, 15 board members y toda esta gente que lo que quiere es no solamente sobrevivir, sino mejorar en su calidad de vida, en sus negocios. Y no lo comprende que lo que hacemos va de regreso a la ciudad. En taxes. Todo lo que hacemos, sus ventas de ustedes, de todos los comerciantes, los impuestos que pagan, todo va a la ciudad y parece que no lo entienden. Entonces, con esta posibilidad de unir las dos organizaciones, ellos mencionaron que tal vez darían $1 millón al año, pero si nos juntáramos. Hay muchas razones por las que somos dos organizaciones que creemos que funcionamos mejor siendo dos, porque tenemos dos maneras de pensar diferentes y el downtown es totalmente diverso. Pero tenemos que considerar la propuesta y igual ni siquiera sabemos si va a ser, si se va a poder llevar a cabo o no se va a poder llevar a cabo. Son apenas las primeras conversaciones y le estamos pidiendo a todo el board que apruebe un comité de 4 o 5 personas para que podamos seguir hablando y negociando con la ciudad. Eso es.
So we need to put it to a vote about the board approving formation of this committee.
The committee, yes.
So then I propose that we set up a board of the necessary number that encompasses the people that are interested in participating in it, and then we can choose those board members at a later date, but we can approve a committee today.
Well, we already have volunteers for, not the committee for number 2. Now we need a line number 3, approve another committee for special events.
Yeah, but the board has to vote on approving that committee.
Yes.
You need to have a motion that states we are going to have a board.
But I think you just made the
I
motion.
made the motion.
So we just need the
And
second.
it needs to be second.
Second. You.
I'll second it
Okay.
to vote on. Any more discussion?
I'm sorry, ¿alguien tiene más preguntas? ¿Alguien tiene más preguntas?
This
So
is,
the board needs to take a vote.
this is very important association, so we really need to
I can tell you.
discuss, and if you have something in mind, just, ask and say your thoughts. Okay, no more comments? Okay, motion passed.
You know, you have to vote. You gotta vote for it.
Thanks, Bobby. I'm going too fast.
Sorry about being the farmer.
No, please, you're always there, you know, you're very sharp.
Keep us in line.
Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. Let's move to the next item. Sonia?
No,
Number two. Oh, number two.
We have to approve have to form another committee.
For the special events.
Yes.
Can somebody talk about that a little bit? Who's enforcing it?
So the special events marketing committee, it would be plan and events and allocate budget funds.
But what is it? What kind of events? What's in mind? What's the strategy?
We don't know yet what kind of events, but I think a couple of events on the year, big events that would bring a lot of people to the downtown. It would be nice.
If that is the case, we already have events that are online. That's not a problem. But if anything happens, if anything comes up, and we can get on board, and we don't have to wait for the board meeting to tell you about it, and then a month later say that yes or no. So it's a committee just to approve or to go over it and to discuss, and then we come back and tell the board what we decided. But we're talking just the general things that would come up. For instance, we wanted to do Cinco de Mayo, is not happening. We wanted to do 16th of September, probably it's not happening either because that's on 4th Street and Sycamore. So all of those are gone, and they were already kind of in the calendar. And again, the only reason why we are asking for this is because we have a money left over from last year, which I will give you my financial report. And we might be able to either sponsor or do something else. Yes. Se está pidiendo autorización para formar otro comité de 3 o 4 board members, los que quieran participar, para aprobar en el evento de que se apruebe alguna celebración o algún evento que venga durante el año y que no esté ya en el budget que tenemos. La única razón que se está haciendo esto es porque quedó dinero en el fondo que tiene la ciudad. La ciudad tiene un fondo, el departamento de licencias de la ciudad colecta el dinero de los comerciantes cuando sacan su licencia. Ese dinero se queda ahí hasta que nosotros como organización sometemos un montón de gastos de invoices que ya pagamos y entonces la ciudad nos lo reembolsa ese dinero. Okay. El año pasado, el 2021, dado que muchos negocios pidieron sus préstamos o los grants, tuvieron que ponerse al corriente y entonces hubo dinero que no se esperaba. O sea, hay más dinero en la ciudad en el fondo para los BIS. Y esa es la razón por la que se está pidiendo autorización de formar el comité, porque el budget que nosotros presentamos en octubre del año pasado ya no funciona tan al corriente como debería, porque hay más dinero del que se esperaba. Esa es la única razón para poder alocarlo y ya decirles, esa es la razón por la que se está pidiendo un comité para discutir si algo sale durante el resto del año. Y dada la situación de ahorita de los comerciantes, ¿qué podemos alocar para la calle 4 específicamente y todo eso?
Would like to, those committees, two committees that we're talking about, and being, populated by board members. I think that I would propose that in those committees, the board members will be responsible for being the authority with the city to work that out. But I think that in those committees, merchants should participate in those committees and be in those committees also. So you have a board of directors, whichever they are, and then you also need to have business people, business owners in those committees, so that they can put input into everything also.
Definitely, and now, now that the city is, well, it's been always like that, but it's not always enforceable. But now it is going to be more enforceable. If there's an event that is going to impact a certain area, the event producer has to have a written consent from every business that will be directly impacted. If the business don't want that event to happen, they just don't sign. That's the only mechanism that we have. The city doesn't have the power to say, or have preferences to say, okay, this I'm going to approve, this I'm not going to approve. No, it's very standard. And so they need to really say, no, I don't want this event affects me. And they don't sign. That's the only way that they can stop that. Otherwise, it's going to happen. Nos está preguntando el doctor Romeli que los negocios deben de participar en cualquier cosa que se haga, cualquier evento, cualquier promoción en el ámbito. Y le digo que sí, y que ahora la ciudad está requiriendo que cuando se va a hacer un evento, el área que va a ser afectada, directamente impactada, alguien les tiene que llevar un papel para que firmen de autorización. Si no están de acuerdo, nada más sencillamente no firmen. Con eso es suficiente para que la ciudad no dé el permiso a esa organización de que haga X o tal evento. Pero es el único mecanismo que tenemos, porque no puede haber preferencias de que a este sí le doy porque me cae bien y a este no le doy el permiso. No se puede hacer eso. Tenemos que cortarnos con la misma tijera a todos, pero el mecanismo está. Si a usted le afecta, por ejemplo, ustedes, Charles, que les afecta algo que va a venir a la plaza, porque les tienen el impacto ahí directamente, sencillamente no firmen. E igual hablen con sus vecinos y platiquen, ¿nos ayuda o nos afecta? O no hay problema, ninguna de las dos cosas es a deshoras, nosotros ya estamos cerrados, pues que venga el evento. Sí tenemos que ser muy claros y pensar lo que estamos haciendo, porque cualquier acción que hagamos se nos regresa el problema o el beneficio. Tenemos que estar muy conscientes que firmamos, que no firmamos y hacernos esa pregunta, ¿nos ayuda, no nos ayuda? Si no nos ayuda si no nos estorba y no nos beneficia, pues que siga la fiesta, ¿no? Pero si nos afecta, entonces es cuando tenemos que hablar.
Y lo que estamos comentando es que en esos committees, esos comités que estamos hablando, de los dos committees, que van a estar también incluyendo business owners que participen en esos committees, que van a hacer las decisiones de los events y que van a hacer las decisiones del dinero de los $1 millón que está hablando la ciudad en cómo tenerlos y cómo usarlos. Es que es muy importante ese punto de que en esos dos comités van a tener que estar también incluyendo a los negociantes.
Should we do a motion?
I'm doing motion.
Okay, so I will move that we establish a special events and marketing committee to comprise 3 or 4 board members and to have input from the merchants that would be affected by these activities. And
I so moved. I said, discussion, quick discussion.
Any discussion?
We've got a lot of business, so I think.
I do that, Bobby.
I have a
Any
question.
discussions? Go ahead.
So when will, is this solicitation for consent for events? For ongoing things that are already in your calendar, or would these be just for new ones
New
only?
ones.
Okay, so the ones that you have established will continue to go forward, it's just for anything in addition to what you're doing, okay?
Es lo nuevo que venga, lo nuevo que se presente. The new, what we have, it's already set.
Any comments? No more? Well, you made the motion?
I make a motion.
And it's been seconded,
And
we've
you
had a
second?
discussion, you need to vote.
You second? Okay. All those in favor?
And before you vote, can you ask the people on the board who will form that committee?
Who would like to volunteer for this committee? Mario?
But can we vote to be in it even though we're not?
The board members, the board members.
The committee that is.
The board members vote, but then you say that you want to be in that committee.
Oh,
Yes.
Well, I would like to be in it.
Okay.
Okay, Carla, Mario.
Yeah.
And who else?
Yes, yes. You want to. You can take over.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know?
so we have three.
If needed.
Okay, just you two?
I will if we need another member.
Okay, well, we have three, we have enough, and you are the first one. So, I think this is enough, yeah. Or
And
somebody else want
most
to
likely,
be?
well, most likely, I mean, our staff team are probably gonna have to be at the special event and marketing committee. So that means Maria, Madeline, and Claudia Napa are probably gonna have to get that.
Maybe you, Claudia.
Si no, ¿dónde you want to be there?
Mucha responsabilidad, muy
Look, it's okay.
So I think that like, right now you're selecting board members, right? I think that, for the merchants, they could add themselves, whenever. And I don't think there should be a number of how many board members, whoever's interested can participate as business owners.
Yes, so it would be open for participation to all merchants.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, but there's committee would be board members, because we are a nonprofit board.
Your board members would do your closing and blah, blah, blah. Your merchants can always come to meetings. Meetings are open.
Yes.
You all are invited.
Everybody's welcome.
But another point, the merchants are not there just to listen, they're there to make decisions.
Well, they have to voice their opinion.
Yes, because there's no point in them being there, they can't have an input in
No, it
it.
has to be
So they have to be participants and then the board members have to listen to what they're saying and then incorporate it and then vote according to what the merchants are saying.
Okay, so. Let's.
If I may, I think I would be remiss from, at least being from the city side, just to kind of understand the motivation behind the forming of the committee, because I'm hearing kind of, and again, for lack of a better term, it's almost like a turf war. You know, okay, so I am correct in that aspect.
No,
You know, like I said, for not for that term or anything like that, but I just want to make sure, because, you know, you have obviously Parks and Recreation and you have our special event supervisor here, we're represented at the table and everything like that. And, you know, I think that, at least from our perspective, there's, you know, for lack of a better term, a new era of our willingness to participate with the downtown and the both the bid agencies and everything like that. So I just want to make sure that there's that opportunity to continue to work forward together for events and all that kind of stuff and everything. Right. You know, well, and like I said, you know, not having any context or anything like that, I want to make sure that that was still the desire and everything.
For Timothy, can I provide the context? Because it's just essentially, for this committee, all they're doing is, let's say that the board decides we want to do Cinco de Mayo next year. So now we have people driving the process inside of this board towards what needs to be done. And right now, like for instance, like one of our big events, we know is Boca de Oro. We have a large group that is formed with SAOS, and everybody to create that event. But we so far have never had a committee in this group, except for the few staff members to actually do that. And it's a lot of work for us, especially when you start adding larger events like these. So essentially, this is just something that's going to allow organization to occur here to try out other kinds of events.
Okay.
And then they coordinate with
When we
you.
have a certain amount between us,
Right.
then we go to you.
Sure.
And then we readjust according to what Parks and Rec tells us to do.
Sure. And that was my motivation behind asking the clarification, because like I said, I know that there's been internal conversations between Sonia and I, and also with Madeline, as far as the desire to form a more stronger partnership with the downtown organizations and be a little bit more transparent in not only our process, but also to be an advocate for the businesses down here, with everything that's going on, all the changes that are taking place throughout the city and everything. You know, that's one of the things that has been constantly part of our special events planning process, and also part of at least the Parks and Recreation Department, trying to include the downtown businesses as much as we can when we're going through our planning process. So just wanted to make sure that I understood before the vote took place and everything like that. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Is Julie online? Is she with us?
She is.
Yes, I'm here.
I'm sorry she's not here.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
She's here. I know, but it would be nice if she was physically here.
But they Bobby, day of Friday is off.
To me, she's important.
May I add, just I just wanted to add to what Tim said, and also as you guys start planning events and you guys kind of get closer to the permit process, I'd be more than happy to attend a meeting and, you know, bring the paperwork and, you know, any suggestions or anything any support that you guys need, you know, you can count on me and I can attend the meeting and help you guys with anything that you need.
And now we need 30 days at least for the application.
45 days, yeah, it's always been 45 days.
Okay.
But we've always helped you guys, you know, but now you guys have been really good, doing things nice and early. It's just that we have so many permits. We have like, right now we have like about 40 plus permits. Oh my gosh. So it's a lot. So it helps us just have the time to review. It gives you the time to turn in all the materials. But we're here to help you.
But I think just in conclusion to all of this, it is our intent to run really good programming, and we want to do it better and better. And I think that's the whole end to having a committee and having more input from the community to make sure that we're running the best programs we can with the dollars that we're given, you know, and that's really the intent.
Okay, so let's take a vote. All those in favor? Okay, I guess motion passed. Thank you, everyone. Okay, let's move on a little bit now. Lines of different so maybe next. Do you have anything to support us to?
No, I just, once again, I just wanted to say thank you for inviting us. For everyone that doesn't know me, my name is Sonia Bacchus. I'm the Recreation Community Services Supervisor under Parks and Recreation. So I oversee Plaza Calle Cuatro on 4th and French, that cemented plaza. I also oversee Birch Park as far as for special events. Actually any special event in any park. So it doesn't just have to be Birch Park. We also, in our office, oversee film permits.
So would you mind, Mario has taken on the translation on this end, so
Sure.
will you just slow down a little?
Oh, I'm
bit?
sorry. Yes, I do talk fast.
And that's for everyone. Sorry, I've noticed a couple lost faces back here, so I really want to make sure that they get all the information. And if you guys can just be shorter and more direct. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, señor, como dijiste, son poco perdidos, les quiero traducir para que hagan toda la información.
So, thank you. So once again, overseeing the permitting process. So anytime that you guys want to use Birch Park or Plaza, you'd be working with me. Madeline's really familiar. I work really closely with her for Boca de Oro, for example. Raul for yoga and dancing on the streets. So yeah, we're here to, help you and help you through the process. We've combined our event application with police. So if you were doing a street closure, or if you're using a park, it's going to be the same application. And we did that hoping that it will, be easier for the customer. You don't have to, figure out which department to go to. We will funnel it where it needs to go. So it's the same process as far as street closures and parks. There might be some additional items that are necessary for street closures, of course. But other than that, the process is very similar.
Is it okay if I just request that you guys can share with the board? So for the past 3 years, we've been working on a memorandum of understanding that UCI drew up for the city. And the goal of that memorandum of understanding was to allow for more activation of our public park spaces with less kind of barrier to being able to do that for the business improvement district groups. Because we noticed, for instance, that there's no activation in Birch Park, or that there's not, the active, we can see that there's a lot of times that there could be more activity going on in some of these spaces, but the process feels a little bit cumbersome for us. So we asked our lawyers to put together a memorandum. He did. The city said we have to wait till the end of the pandemic. The pandemic has essentially been ending. And then Tim came in, he was new, and he looked at it and he said, oh, it looks like you guys need more of a joint use agreement. But then they made a decision that the construction is a problem right now. So they stopped that process again. And I just wanted folks to know, because we've been coming and reporting consistently that I'm working on this memorandum of understanding, and you guys pretty much have said, we're not gonna do that anymore. So I just wanted you to describe for them what your plan is and how what you're gonna be doing is going to allow for some of the requests that we've asked for to be allowable.
So right now, we are accepting about 6 events at a time. So for example, with yoga and dancing on the streets, instead of doing a permit for each individual event, which I think was the process before, and that's what you mentioned is a little bit cumbersome, having to apply for each individual event, you can apply for 6 months. So for example, with Downtown Inc., with the art walk, they apply 6 months and we issue a permit for 6 months. They can pay monthly, you can pay for the whole thing all at one time. But that hopefully will assist in your planning, like, oh, we can plan 6 months of programming, if it's the same event, for example, so if you want permit per event. So that's an option. Also, recreation is planning to activate Birch Park, and we would love to come back to this table specifically for activation of Birch Park to see how does the downtown, envision programming the park, because we're here to help. We want to activate it as well. We have new vision, we have new direction. So we definitely want to work together in programming Birch Park. So that could be a separate conversation. We might have to come back and brainstorm ideas and see what, we definitely want to include the downtown businesses. We know that you guys need the support, and we want to make sure that we provide that for you guys.
And also, just one little thing, so that you know and Timothy knows, we are in constant conversation with our neighborhood associations as well. We know Denise is bringing this before her groups. We've talked to Denise about what your last decisions were, because we know that we've been asking for another thing, which is kid-friendly city activations. We know that the spaces are not conducive to kid friendliness at this moment. And so as our neighborhood associations and us and everyone goes along, we just want you to know that we're all talking to each other, so that we're not all separate people. We're all one large group of people that are going for the same thing in this downtown, which is to create spaces that are friendly for children, to create spaces that are active, where everybody in this community is allowed in those spaces, and they can also program those spaces easily.
And we can definitely include the neighborhood association. We typically do when there's going to be an event at that specific park. For example, we worked really closely with Denise on there was a Pacific Symphony opportunity. So we kind of coordinated that to see, was it feasible for Birch Park? Unfortunately for Birch Park, it wasn't due to the organizer of that activity, but that is something that we definitely would be open to working with the neighborhood association.
And in terms of long-term, walking in lockstep with the Santa Ana Business Council, just last council meeting, the council approved a partnership and sponsorship policy. So that was one of the mechanisms that we felt we needed to have in place before we started discussing either MOUs, licensing agreements, those types of things, because it gives us an administrative framework to be able to operate from. With regards to all the different organizations communicating with each other, Officer Gomez and I, we spent till about 7 o'clock, 7:30, working with the Downtown Neighborhood Association last night, asking them, what is their vision for the activation of Birch Park, and what is it that they want and everything. So we're there, we're hearing what SABC, with Downtown Inc., with the Downtown Neighborhood Association, what is going to add value to the space. It's going to take a much larger conversation rather than we just need the process to be easy. We understand that, and that's what we're attempting to do with the new vision, with the new leadership that we have here, because one of the things in my initial assessments coming into the organization is that there's a divide between us and the community. And I'm speaking specifically from the Parks and Recreation Community Services Agency. And I think the expectation is that you guys have to come to us. Well, we're changing that by us coming here to you.
And we appreciate it.
And so as much as we can be a part of the conversation, as much as you guys want to activate us and get our input, how we can align our purposes, because I think the goal is the same, right? And that's the type of person that I am in terms of my leadership style, is I work with the end in mind. Do we want to see a vibrant downtown community? Absolutely. It only benefits the community in whole, and also it enables us as Parks and Recreation professionals to provide those world-class events that we're starting to discuss. And again, I think that goes back to the comment that I had earlier is, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of visioning, a lot of innovation that's taking place in our offices right now, because with the 2 years of not having any opportunity to really provide the activities that we want to the community, we took that as an opportunity to reset. We don't have to continue to operate in the paradigm that we've had for the past 20, 30 years and everything. So we're open to new ideas. We're open to innovation. We're excited about the partnerships that we have and are creating and everything. I think, being able to create a framework that works for everybody, rather than, I think the conversation and maybe the comment that was made is that, again, there's that divide between the city and possibly the vendors, the residents, the business owners and everything. We're two of the people here that are willing to change that paradigm and commit the time, the effort, and our servanthood, because I embrace that. I'm a public servant. You are all the people, you're the reason why I'm sitting in this chair right now having this conversation. And so whatever time and effort I can commit personally, and I know Sonia feels the same way, we're here.
I just comment on the memorandum of understanding. I know that we've spent an enormous amount of time over years trying to facilitate this agreement.
Right.
And I just would ask, that you could revisit that and see that, because, it's kind of like, why reinvent the wheel when the wheel was almost rolling anyway? And I think a lot of time and thought, am I right, on, really and that may be a great mechanism for you to engage with this community. So I think I would just, ask that you would be maybe open to, re-engaging in that.
I'd like to put an input, history-wise. First part was really put together for seniors because of the senior complex. Do you go back? Because I'm very much part of Park San Diego. Do you ever go back and check with history and then move from history? Because it's a big change. I don't think most of these people understand, it was built or put together for the seniors.
Right.
And now it has expanded because, everybody has taken my history away and moved us on out. But no, to involve everybody.
Right.
And I think people need to understand.
Senora.
God bless them. Some of us have worked very hard to get some of the things that have happened here in the city, to have it all just taken out from underneath us without any background. Sorry about that.
No, thank you, Bobby.
One other thing that I just wanted to mention and wanted you to maybe you do know, but I just wanted to say, everything that Santana Business Council does, it is free to the public. It is not for profit. We don't do events for profit. It is completely free for the wellness and the betterness and the mindset of the community. And that's the difference, that we don't charge anybody, so we don't make money. So in any way possible that you can help us offset the fees or minimum fees, just to look at in the books or something, that would be greatly appreciated.
Sure.
Because every dollar goes to that. The board, we're 15 people, we are volunteers. We give our time and effort and energy and whatever you see. So this is how we are, this is how we perform.
Sure.
I just wanted you to know.
Right, and like I said, I think with the passing of the sponsorship and partnership policies, it's going to change the dynamic of the MOU document, because we'll be able to identify where our goals align. And so as long as they're in alignment with each other, then we can create agreements based off of the policies that were in that, so I think that was probably the platform that we needed. The MOU does exist, so if there's time and effort that's been associated with that, certainly we can take a look at it and we can figure out, again, some of the things that maybe need to be adjusted based on the policies and all that type of stuff, but we didn't really have a framework there for us to take the document as it was initially provided to us and be able to operate it. In my evaluation, it could have gone in probably 15 different directions. And with this framework now, I think we have clear direction on how we can make it applicable to what we intended to.
Tim, in 43 years that I've been here in the downtown as a business, this is the first time that I hear good news from the city. And I'll tell you, this is the best news that I ever heard before. We're gonna keep inviting you.
Well, I'll be more than happy.
You're welcome. Hey, both of you.
We so appreciate your time and your service to our community.
This is very important to us, that we work with the city together, and also the city working with us together. We do everything for free. We spend our time and time that is very valuable for us and you guys also. We really appreciate everything that if you do something for us like this, that's all we need. It helps a lot. Yeah.
I just want one last teeny comment before, and I just wanted to say, for the 7 years that I've been downtown, there's one thing that I've noticed that I really think is important. And one of the things is, in the very beginning, what we were doing and what we have been doing is, whenever we want to do something in downtown, we have to produce it like an event producer, meaning we have to go out and we have to create the life in that space. And what happened is, at some point, we were getting in hundreds and hundreds of letters from folks in this community asking to do things, like all different kinds of things. Gente Market was one of them, for example. And we realized, you know what? We need to stop producing, and we need to open up the floodgates to allow the community to actually be the producers rather than consumers of public space. And when I had made the shift from thinking about our community as consumers only who were trying to get money from, and rather allow them to produce the dreams and the creative ideas that they have in this community, what I also realize is some of the things that are needed in order to facilitate them is very basic, and they're not there. So for example, one of the things is Birch Park on its own is not a sufficient space for events. Why? It doesn't have a public restroom, number one. It doesn't have like lots of public seating and lighting at night, which were problems. So when I ask for partnership, what I see as a great ability is, number one, I'm not asking the city, please go out and get this grant alone. I'm saying partner with our downtown so that we can get the grant to make the space so that when we need electricity, every time we have to bring out a generator when we put a stage in that park. What we're saying is all these things are really expensive. And with the this year, I had to ask
two different organizations to purchase the stage because we didn't have it in our budget. And I'm still over budget for Boca by $5,000. And so two other organizations paid for those stages that we used to get as a beautiful sponsorship from the city. Every time there's an extra cost for us, it makes the space unusable by not only us, but the community. So what I'm saying is we need to make repairs. And when I say kid friendly, what I mean is I want kids to play out there, not because we created an event for them. I want them to play because the infrastructure of the space has something in it that children gravitate to. The same way that kids who are out there skateboarding will go out and skateboard in different spaces. So when I'm asking for assistance and help and support, it's really about fixing the infrastructure of space so that people naturally, socially gather there, not because we created it and not because we produced it. So those are huge asks, and I know, but that's our paradigm shift in this business council, because kids should feel comfortable playing in downtown. Every age should be working together. The seniors should be interacting with youth. It shouldn't, they like to do that. It brings life to them. And they should be asked. They should also have space that's not for that, Bobby. I understand. But like we've been asking if our seniors would love to read to our children every year for Boca. And so far, we haven't even gotten a meeting with them to be able to actually see if they're interested.
I work with other parts too, and
that's all. I just wanted you to know the paradigm idea, and it's, we want producers, not consumers of space.
Thank you, Madam. Let's move to the next item. Public comments only on the agenda items, 3 minutes. Anybody likes to make any comment?
You mean there's not enough space? Ask them what the space is. You know, it's a very small space, and sometimes what we're asking for is not viable. And then where are these children coming from?
The city. They live here. There's 500 of them right next to Mega Furniture. They live here, Bobby.
But that's, excuse me, never mind. We've got to move on with this.
Yes,
We're getting
yes.
very carried away, and we're not even halfway through.
Not
this.
yet. We're gonna move faster, probably. Okay, so any comments? Anybody wants to make public comments?
Does anybody
No?
on Zoom?
I guess not. Okay. Let's move to Teresa. Sorry, we keep you waiting now, Teresa.
That's all right, this has been a great conversation. So again, I'm supposed to say for the project, I think you all can see that the track installation is complete. And so the next phase or the next area that we want to go into is completing the work on the north side of the street so that we can start to open up traffic, that westbound traffic. In order to get there, we've discovered some issues with.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was wondering if we can face the Zoom in that direction so we can hear Teresa.
Oh, sure.
And Anna Laura wants to know. There is a.
Ana Laura, do you want to go for public comment?
Ana Laura, are you there? Hello?
She's having trouble unmuting.
Can you unmute her?
Okay, what
Let's,
we continue?
Teresa
Teresa?
can finish, yeah, and then we'll let Anna Laura go when she.
Yeah, and then we'll go back to public comments.
So I just want to make sure, is everyone here signed up to get electronic information from the project? So is everybody here signed? No. Okay, so let's make sure.
I only
Please
see
send me an
the
email and I'll add your information. And we send out.
It just says add to
Information, we
unmute.
do it in English and Spanish.
I did that.
Some of the general newsletter update, right? But we also use that same database for targeting messaging for the stuff that happens on that.
So Teresa, so I understand. Sorry.
So
beginning on Monday, the French intersection is going to be completely closed to vehicular traffic. So those intersections have decorative concrete, and we need to redo the curbs on both sides of the street, on the north and the south sides. Last night, in conversations with the city, Julie was part of those conversations. We're trying to determine what's the next best intersection to go to. We think that we have a plan now to, as they're doing the work on French. So these things happen in phases, right? The first thing you have to do is demo out the old asphalt. Then the electrical company, Aldridge, comes in and they run the conduits to the new service, both for traffic and for the power to the streetcar. So as those work, we're in a very confined space, so not everybody can be there at the same time. So when Walsh is done with their demo, we're trying to determine the next best place for them to go. We think now that Bush will be the next intersection. Lou, the project manager, is back at the office, going to go running through some of the details with the team. Again, this is a change from where they thought they were going to go, but based on conversations with Julie and others, we think that Bush is maybe a better location to go. So those will be the next two things that will be happening, will be those two intersections. And then after that, we think we're going to go to Main and close Main, which is a big, it's a big lift for routing traffic around because it is a major intersection. And I think what we're going to be able to accomplish at Main is get more resources for that location, and that translates into more shifts. So it would be people working and maybe on Saturdays. So those are that's a little midterm of where we're at, with the goal of us getting finished with the track installation between Mortimer and Ross by Thanksgiving. So that's our goal. Originally, when we first came to the downtown, we thought we were going to have to, it would be a year. So we would have to stop in the moratorium and then pick up again. We are trying to see if we can get everything done. And when I say everything, I'm defining that by the platforms and the track installation, the curbs, the sidewalk by Thanksgiving. We will have to come back, and there would be then targeted closures around the platforms to do the canopies, put in the ticket vending, the seating. So there would be some more work to be done next year, but it would be limited to those locations where the platforms are. And then they have to also string the wiring to power the streetcar. So those would be, again, targeted. It would not be full closures downtown like they are now. The major construction will be finished. Fingers crossed, and then we don't come up against unforeseen issues by Thanksgiving.
That's very good news. Wow. Awesome. And I would like to ask, our poor church put up with this closure of Santa Ana Boulevard. If the people crossing Main and then on our north side, by our church, across from the old courthouse and so forth, 3 years, we cannot get into our parking lot. We are making, thank God they don't give us a ticket. We have to make an illegal left turn. When are you going to finish it? What you have to do is put some cement down.
So we can't shift traffic until the signal infrastructure gets completed, because then we would be shifting traffic, and shifting traffic would not be feasible. And there has been a challenge with getting the right sequence of teams in there to do the work.
But how many
Things have
years?
changed. Well, the other thing that has changed is the technology has changed. So what we did back several years ago
that technology is now antiquated. She's shaking her head because you probably have the same experience in other areas. We've had to update the material. The things are not easily, it's a complicated issue, and believe me, I talk to the team all the time. When can I let Bobby know that her?
Yeah, well, our church is very frustrated. We are down to 90 members in our congregation. And you expect us to stay there? You know, as one presbytery hasn't closed us down. Well, maybe you can make a winery out of the church. It's a historic place. But it's very frustrating. I mean, I feel for all of these downtown. I know what you are going through. And because of living here, I knew the Reagans, I knew all the people that originally owned all this, and how devastating. Why? The darn thing doesn't even go by a grocery store. It was a dumb move.
Thank you, Candy. Okay, let's move.
Ana Laura sent it to me. She said that she's having problems with her audio, but she also couldn't hear everything about the unifying conversation earlier. But her public comment is that regarding the merger of the two entities, she said the audio service was so bad that I wasn't able to hear much of the discussion, but I'd like to provide a comment in regard to unifying. Also, there are several businesses that have completely closed access to their doors, like Taqueria Guadalajara. They haven't sold anything in the last in 3 days. And so they've closed access to their doors. And she wanted to ask, have we thought about a campaign to not only promote the downtown, but actually to explain how to get people to businesses and keep people informed of the new closures? She shared a video that they've produced, and she said we started creating these videos ourselves, and it's what's working for our clients. We're posting them in our social media, but we need a bigger campaign so that people don't get lost when they approach the downtown. This is the type of advertisement that we have been explaining that we want. The main problem is that people not being able to come to downtown because it is so confusing. So we need to focus all the advertisement money into that. Let's think bigger and again, put all of our focus into the damages of this construction, stop events and just create awareness and do individual advertisements for the businesses that are hurting the most through this.
I think that the whole downtown is hurting the same. I don't think it's just one specific business. We're all hurting the same. I know OCTA is doing a lot of advertisement.
Yeah.
The way to get to your business, I saw the OCTA build like a bridge to at each corner to go from one corner to the next corner. I mean, I think that's very helpful. I think that's one way to advertise. But
she said she had never mentioned one business in particular. She just wants to know if we can come on board to assist in an advertising campaign to help people to get around downtown. And I do think it's a great idea. I want to take a look at her video to see what she's produced. And then I think that we can also assist in producing similar types of videos if it's about navigation. I still would like to create like a best practice, because one of the things that I noticed is, I mean, a lot of our signs it looks like construction signs, whereas what I'm thinking is more glamorous. Because I go into, like after COVID, a lot of people in a lot of malls and places have put up signs that say, we're back in business, like we're open again. And the signage that they have is like, it invites you in. Ours is saying damage control, and theirs are saying, come on in because COVID is over. And I would like ours to look more similar to that. So I need to put a spreadsheet together for OCTA and for others to just see what we're thinking. But I think that this video campaign is a great, and sorry, Lonnie.
No,
Go ahead.
to comment on that part, if we can get that video and then all our social media, Downtown East, Calle Cuatro, and on Facebook, we all just keep sharing the same thing. Because what I see right now, and this is just me on the outside, I see like one thing from one person, another thing from another. somebody that's not familiar with downtown is like, that's a mess. Like, I'm not even gonna try to go over there. So we just need to come together and share the same message.
Okay.
If it's the same video for 1 week, let's share that same video that whole week. So we need to communicate amongst ourselves with social media ways. Like, let's share this week, let's share the next video next week. So we're just
all working
giving
together.
the same message. Yeah.
That sounds great.
And maybe we can take a look at the video and make sure that it works for all of us, or actually work together as the people that are here and make sure that it actually does work for us, because I know you're in the central part.
Oh, yeah.
So making sure that, maybe we can share that video right now. and see how it all
Except
works.
that, sorry, the video is actually, she sent it as a text because she wasn't able to get, I don't know if,
I don't know if she can hear,
So
but.
we can actually start working on videos, maybe the people that are
Okay.
talking about marketing, yourself, myself, and then folks.
Should we put together a committee for this, to
Can
help
you
with
hear me?
signage/videos?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my phone, and I'm sorry I couldn't make it in person. So that video was created by the guy of Taqueria Guadalajara, which is Alfonso, and he called a few people and said that this was his idea on how to get into his business, because again, he's hurting a lot right now because his access is completely blocked. You cannot get into Taqueria Guadalajara as of right now. So it's pretty much he record his way into his business like by driving. He put his phone recording when he was driving, so he can show if you're coming from Maine, make a left here, make a right here. That's the way to the structure, and then walk this way, follow these signs, and that's pretty much the video that he has so far. So he is encouraging us, all of us, to kind of create a video for each of our business on how to come. And I told him we should make it like a bigger campaign, like let's hire a photographer or a videographer that makes his way to downtown, coming off the 5, coming from Main Street, coming from Grand, or coming from any access to the downtown, on how to get here, how to go to each structure, and then just him exiting the structures and following the signs to get to different businesses, so we can make it into a bigger campaign, and people can exactly know how to get here, because most of the comments out there is that people get lost. I have a lot of clients that are new to the downtown, and again, they call me and they say they couldn't find their way into my office. So if this is
we're
being
looking right now at your video that you sent us.
Okay.
It's up on the big screen. So we're able to actually see that it is a directional video, and it's really cool.
Again, this is something that we just did. He just did with his phone, and it's just something that we're coming with the idea of. But of course, we're not experts, and like I just want to ask you, the board, for the help. Like I know I've been asked before, how can we help? This is a great way. I think prioritizing what's a need for a lot of businesses, or the majority of the businesses, is trying for people not to get confused on how to get to downtown. So I feel like this idea from one business over here, from Alfonso from Taqueria Guadalajara, was great, because even though it's just homemade and he did it with his phone, it's very self-explanatory of how to get to here, and that's what the people is getting confused. So.
Thank you for that. That's great.
No, you're welcome, and thank you for taking the time to look at the video, and I'm open to discuss more further on this idea, and hopefully create, like, again, a bigger awareness campaign of just that there's not, because I feel everybody around knows that there's construction in downtown. But I don't want to send that idea that there's construction in downtown. I want to send the idea that downtown is still open, downtown is still available for everybody to come down and just do the regular business here.
And I'm thinking that with those videos, I mean, you could have a lot of fun and do some very cool marketing that's intertwined with the video. Like that video was so cute, but you could do even more,
fun things that would just make it even more inviting, like what an adventure kind of thing, and landing yourself in downtown. So I think it's a great idea.
Exactly. And like, again, this video was
committee.
made with no funds because the business are hurting. They don't have money to spend on making those videos or the time to spend on making those videos. But I think you guys have the resources. Also, you have Therese Oliveri there. I'm glad that she was able to see this video. And if OCTA, the only money they can provide is for advertisement, this is the type of advertisement that we need. And then this is the things that we're talking about. We need to create awareness of how to get here, because that's been one of the biggest problems since day one. Like, people don't know how to approach the downtown, and they get lost at the downtown, and then changing the streets all the time and changing the way that you close street from one day to another is just creating more confusion to everybody. Like, everybody's lost. So we just want to find a way. And I feel this video was a great idea. So again, I just invite you all to put a thought on that. You guys have media experts on your board. So let's just focus on a campaign to attract people here, but to just make an awareness of how to get here, and that we are open, that we are waiting for them. And I feel that will help a lot.
Great comments. Thank you, Ana Laura.
Thank you, Ana.
Oh, thank you.
Just to piggyback off that, on Fifth and Spurgeon, there's cars going the wrong way all the time. I lose my mind. I try to educate them. There's portions where I literally, tickets are not what I do. I don't give people tickets. But anyhow, I just lose my mind because they're going the wrong way. And I just kind of direct them, no, you need to turn around. We're facing you. You're going the wrong way. There's parking that way, or go this way, nicely as I can. But yeah, they're going the wrong way. On 5th Street, another one way. On Santa Ana Boulevard, it's a one way, one lane by the church. And yeah, they're going the wrong way. But that's one of the issues that we do have.
Yeah.
They
So it would help with safety too.
Yeah.
So on this video, I think it's a good idea. What they did, I think we should.
We should. I think we should actually have a meeting and talk about like she said, let's create a campaign across, and then we can actually get a videographer, and we can do, once everybody puts in that input, we can get a videographer and maybe do small clips or larger ones to do a campaign for this.
We can do like each end, and it'd be like, all these businesses are on this end, this is how you get to them. That way everyone gets included from there.
Let's work together.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot. I have a lot of things in mind to that, and we can target,
That's
So
great.
I think that there's much more, because this is that video, the limits to the angle that he's pointing.
Yeah.
We need to, and get it as long as it needs to focus on everybody. So let's just kind of.
So let's
collaborate.
meet and we can all put in input and have a really strong campaign across.
Do you want to put together an email and reach out to people?
Yeah.
And okay.
Yeah, I
So
will
Madeline
put
will do
together an
that.
email for that.
And Ana Laura will reach out, or Madeline will reach out to you as well, so you can be part of that meeting.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The access is gonna be changing as we're closing these intersections. So these intersections are gonna take between 3 and 4 weeks in some cases. So I don't want you to get scheduled and put something out that's not gonna be relevant a week later because we've changed the access again. So let me know how you're.
One thought on that. I always take First Street in, and First Street isn't part of any of the construction, and First Street really accesses from all angles. And then you can go to the 3rd and Broadway structure. I mean, so maybe considering a simplified, even though it's a little more distance to some businesses, it is the for sure thing that will stay the for sure thing through the duration of the construction.
So always start them coming from first.
I'm always coming from First and going down Sycamore right into the structure.
If your focus stays on getting to the parking structures, then that will stay consistent. Okay.
That's good.
Now, I have a question. Sorry. I don't know if it would be like city or OCTA, but is there any way that we can have somebody physically at the parking structure handing out whatever it is schedule we're on, and be like, this is how you get to these businesses? Like a little
That's not a me question, that's a Santa Ana question. I don't manage that.
Could we do that? Have like an in-person concierge where it's like, welcome, like go this way? I mean, I know it's gonna be tough to do that, but.
You wonder if Oakta could maybe help with
And you
to have concierge at the 3 structures, you wonder if
No,
that,
we
no.
don't, those are managed by the city. So we put the decals, that decal that you saw, OCTA placed those decals in order to get people from the structures to 4th Street. But we don't manage the structures.
So
So we don't
you're
staff
saying,
the structures.
So it's the city. that
Well, we
would
should
be
probably
asking
let that go
about.
to the committee meeting that you'll set up, and then if you need more input, then you can reach out.
so you're talking about flyers?
No,
You
You know,
get
like
People
Actual-
a nice
people.
person who's there and says, hey, go check out these businesses.
Oh, okay.
It's a more
Because the
personable.
At the
OCD does
entrance
have staff
of
walking
the
around to
parking.
businesses,
And
right?
maybe that falls into the marketing
What
funds,
would that
right, that
be?
they are clearly giving us. Or something like that, maybe?
No, there, am I misunderstanding? Isn't there OCTA staff that goes to the businesses or?
On Wednesdays and Fridays,
So
these
Wednesdays and
staffs are
Fridays, okay, so it's only today, so.
Okay, it's not a bad idea, I think that.
I just want to know Teresa say, OCTA has done by November and this year's. Am I right?
Yes.
So in all the downtown, what about the tree sidewalks, and that is included or that's not included?
The landscaping will come at the end, but the pavers, the decorative pavers will be part of that.
So the thing is, I went to the Denver, the Colorado's, and then to the Cerritos, and then I went to the Santa Monica. They have the trolley on it. So it should be the Santa Ana. They have a main goal is they have developing the Santa Ana downtown. So examples they have it too long to in Oaktown have a construction for in whole in Santa Ana for the train station to Harbor Boulevard. I didn't even see the Harbor Boulevard have a construction on it. So I just request to Oaktown have to done by Santa Ana downtown first. And then today is too long. Example, I have a business in Santa Ana.
So he's asking if the work that's on Santa Ana, it can be expedited because he sees that there's. Is that right? You want it to happen in downtown first?
Santa Ana downtown first, example, otherwise, is I'm here for 42 years. And Oakta, they started construction in 2017, they started. They're what years today? The year's 22. And I saw the front of the street. Example, looks like first years, they put on the gas line. They dig him up, put it on the gas line. Second years, looks like the electric line. Dig him out and put on the electric line. 30 years, they put on the, dig him out and they put on the water line. So it looks like too long. Example, looks like United and all the public utility company get together for a one time, dig him up, put it together and close it. And then example, nothing to organize, put in construction. And who has the damage? All the merchants has damage. Example, that they're not gonna pay for the rent. We're gonna stay. Example, even building owner, they have to pay to the end of the mortgage. Example, we're not paying for the mortgage. The bank, they took it. And who has damage? The Oaktown has more organized, is more concentrated for the Santa Ana downtown. They're gonna put it on the railroad. We put the railroad, we are done. What about the customers community? Sidewalk, it doesn't work. not finished, tree doesn't finish, the light doesn't finish, public, public restroom or whatever is not to finish. Every year, they're gonna put on the one bathroom in there. Next year, they're gonna put the tree. Next year, they're gonna put on. It doesn't work.
You want everything fixed at one time.
Would you please look at the in Main Street and Main and Fourth, how they have a construction on? They're gonna put on the apartment. How they do it? There's an altar. They do the railroad. They're working. My guess, I think it's 6 hours. They're working for every day. It's not even 8 hours. So how they gonna finish? When they're gonna finish? I just want to know when they have finished for the end. The everything is complete for this.
Well,
That's my main request.
yeah, I know, Walter, we're all
Thank you.
concerned about that. Thank you, Walter. But Tricia just said that it's gonna almost be done by Thanksgiving.
So Thanksgiving, the track installation will be complete,
Mhm.
the sidewalks will be complete, the paving will be complete
Oh, neighbors.
in the downtown.
Well, we're part of downtown. You're gonna work with us
So
too.
I'm talking about segment 4. So.
Would you like to buy our church?
You know, we probably should get to Julie, because I don't know if she's still on.
I mean, you guys have said,
Or get
we have
that.
for years.
Okay, well, that's.
Excuse me, I want to hear the answer from the altar. For example, the altar say for the November, they have the railroad and the sidewalk. They have to plan to the water fountain or something. Example, Santa downtown. They are thirsty and then they need the water fountain. You know, looks like Santa Monica. They have a water fountain. So we do put it on the water fountain in there, or we're gonna put on the tree, you know, the sidewalk tree, or kind of. So we want it done soon as possible. But it's not to put it on in one of the years. Example, 1 year in this, another years in that, another years in that. I need to send on a downtown one time to finish done.
When is the completion date?
Completion.
100%.
Send on a downtown only. I don't care in another, but I need to in our building, in our business. Send on a downtown.
And she said November, right?
Thank you.
November.
So we are ahead of schedule today. I know the last board meeting we were here, you said we were 1 week ahead of schedule. Are we still on schedule?
We're still ahead of where we thought we were gonna be.
Okay,
So
that's good news.
my fingers crossed it stays that way. There's a concrete shortage. So some of the concrete pours got, we're happy when we thought they were, but we're still ahead of where we thought we would be at this point.
I know that making a lot of progress. I know, I've seen it. I wish he could move a little faster, but that's not my.
Again, we're trying to, and Julie can attest this, we're trying to balance
Yes.
the needs of maintaining access for everyone with the progress of the work. So it would be much easier and we could go faster if we closed everything and opened up all the streets and opened up all the intersections. But that's not feasible to keep people coming to the downtown. So we're trying to thread that needle of advancing the work and keeping the crews moving as they come up on issues, because as much as we try to pre-plan, what we thought we were gonna see on when we opened up the north side was irrigation and electric service for the planters on the north side. It's not there, which means it's underneath the sidewalk on the north side, which is not where we plan to excavate. So now we have to come up with a new idea of how we get power and water to those planters. So we're always coming up on things that we were not information was not provided to us, it wasn't available, so it has to be, everybody has to figure it out. But we want to keep the work, keep the momentum going, so that means sometimes we have to open up additional areas. But we're always, Julie and I especially, are focused on keeping the access as consistent as we can, so people, when they come to the downtown, can do it in a reliable way with keeping the areas activated for the construction. So it's a balance. We don't always get it right, but we are trying to not slow Walsh down in any way and always be able to say yes to where they want to work. It's not always works in the best interest of the businesses. So again, we're trying to make a balance, you know, strike the right balance.
Right. Well, thank you for whatever you're, I know you're trying your best to move the project a little faster, and that's very, and we see it, but, you know, because the whole downtown is closed. Every day we see, we want to see more and more, and I know it's happening, but it's coming a little bit slower, and that's fine. It'll be done. If it's Thanksgiving, the end of the year, at least we have something that we're expecting to be done.
We can celebrate.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
then we can really celebrate. Okay, so thank you. So let's move to the next item. I know we have a little more. Huh?
Roll.
Yeah, I know.
Some question on this side, they had a question for Teresa. They're asking first question was, when is Bush and Main gonna be open?
Well, Bush and Main, the intersections are open now. We're going to be closing Bush in a couple of weeks. I don't have a date yet. This is one of the things we just started on last night to explore. So as soon as we have a date and we have a plan, we'll put flyers out.
And then also another question we're asking is, when is the actual the street card actually going to be operating?
The target date is March of 2024. So they'll be testing at least 6 months before. So you'll start to see the streetcar in a testing mode before we open it up to service.
6 meses antes de eso van a empezar a hacer los pruebas.
2 years from now.
It killed us.
Cuando hagan las pruebas, se va a ver interrumpido también. ¿Van a cerrar o no hay problema?
When you guys are doing the testing, it's going to be street cars. No.
And on May 6th, we'll send a flyer out. We're gonna have a public meeting down at Frida Cinema so that Ross Liu from the project, some of you guys know him, will be there to talk in more detail about the intersection closures and all of the work that's gonna be happening. And everybody can kind of ask him the questions too. So we plan to, again, have that meeting on that Friday morning at Frida Cinema, and we'll send a flyer around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Susan. Okay, so
That's me.
reports, Claudia, let's.
Yes.
have a little class.
Yes, I have the financial report. I just wanted to mention that we still have money from last year, 2021, in the city account in the amount of $35,700. And that was for last year's money. In our bank, in the bid account, we have $48,454. The OCTA account has a balance of $62,231. And on the grants account, we only have $1,250, which in that account, we are short with $5,000 that we still don't know how we are going to cover them. We did not get the sponsorship that we usually do for Downtown Inc. We did not get it this year. I don't exactly understand the reasons, but that's the way it is. And we have requested very small sponsorship from the council members, probably $1,000 each. And they have not responded yet. So we are going to send a second request and see if we can come up with that money. And that money is to cover the expenses for Boca de Oro that we are short.
You might want to think about asking for business sponsorships, like, we could probably, reach out to certain business owners and say, would you be willing to do a private
Well,
donation?
I know that we need to do something about it because, that account is short. Okay. And then I also wanted to mention that we were a committee of 3 board members that we met with Ana Laura Padilla. Very happy to meet you, Ana Laura. We were all thrilled to do that. And we wanted to find out the needs and wanted to let you know, and all of the merchants, that we do feel the pain because we've been there several times before. And as I mentioned in that meeting, some of the business owners in downtown has been through this. This is the 3rd time. The ones that are been here for 35 years, this is the 2nd time that happens for different reasons. But this disruption of businesses, it's cyclical, as I understand it. So it has happened before. And so we wanted to know from her, what do the merchants need, how we can help. And as you see through the meeting, we are getting there. We are getting we are getting instructions on the right path. But the businesses directly impacted are the ones that need to tell us what to do. We represent the whole downtown, which is several blocks. It is not only 4th Street, but we understand we need to be prioritizing 4th Street because Ana Laura said, and she was right, yes, the downtown is bigger than that, but the main street in the downtown is 4th Street. So that's the mother of the downtown. So we need to put our resources towards that. So a survey was suggested for the businesses if they want to continue or stop events. That survey was given to Ana Laura on the town hall meeting, which I don't think we have her back from her. It was for her to review it so we can go ahead and proceed to do the survey. I just want to mention that the events that Santana Business Council does are, we don't disrupt streets. We usually don't even, maybe the alley, we use the alleys, but not, we don't try to not to close anything. It's just very organic. But as I mentioned before, the rest of the events that we don't have a saying on that. We don't know what's coming. We don't know who people apply for certain things. So we just want the merchants not to confuse and say, oh, here they go again. They're doing this and they're doing that. It's hurting us. It is not us. It is not the organization. It is not Santana Business Council. So, but anyways, we're working on that. We're waiting for Ana Laura's input on that survey. And so we can go ahead and do it and see the feeling, so we can assess the feeling of the majority and know what to do next. That's it.
Great, thank you. That is important to clarify. Not all events in downtown are organized by SABC or Downtown Inc. So that's the biggest misconception.
Yeah, that's why I said, if you don't want an event, you just don't sign on it, please. That's your best weapon that you guys have.
Okay.
I think I had gone over everything that was really pertinent when we passed the motion on the committee. As I said, we were working with Downtown Inc. to work with the city to come up with a strategic plan. And so that's really all I had. I've already gone over it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is Julie there? Julie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, but I was wondering if maybe Madeline can do her report first and then I'll go after her.
Okay,
Thank
sure.
you.
Okay, so old business, I just wanted to look at this again because I know Senora Arianes with the accounting might have some idea about it, but the first thing was the volunteer base. So this board allocated funding to have Brenda Layana start helping us to build a volunteer base. And I think Senora Arianes has asked if that's really the right path right now. There, for me personally, because I know that our four staff members are kind of at capacity. I really would love this to happen because I know that it will help this organization in the future. But I want to give credence to the fact that she's asking if it's the right thing right now. So, and I know that there's been a couple of mentions of different things, like for instance, even a concierge at all of our parking garages. If we had a volunteer base, we could actually ask people to do stuff like that, but we don't have anyone to draw from to create the kinds of energy around even these projects. And I feel that it's like a extremely important thing. I don't know, but I think that both for this and even like grant funding and such, we really need to carve out parts of our funding allocation to make sure that we can support the capacity of this organization to continue going. So that's what I just wanted to bring that up, and I wanted Senora Arianes to explain her position a little bit around the volunteer base.
No, actually, that's exactly what you said. I know that we had already voted on this and it was approved. And we were waiting for the contract with our UCI law team. And the contract came, and then the disruption of the street came, and the whole new story evolved. So I was hesitant, I am hesitant, and I wanted to put it to the board and have another discussion. If we specifically know what it is going to serve right now, that there's new need, or I don't know. I don't have the capacity of saying yes or no. I just wanted to. It's a concern, and I wanted you to know.
My comment would be, one, I'm glad you're raising this. I think it's a good thing to raise and discuss, but if Madeline, I trust your instincts and you're saying that this is still something that is very useful. I believe in what CNN and Business Council does. One of the things we do best is we multiply the small into the large. And this is like the $5,000 ends up multiplying into hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours potentially of resources and further networking and building communities. So Madeline, if you're thinking it's still a good thing, I think it's probably still a good investment. And I love the idea of maybe we work on in a downtown ambassador program for the next 6 months to help people. They're personally welcomed when they get to the staircases of the downtown, and they are personally told, where do you want to go? Let us help you. So
maybe we can switch what we initially were thinking the volunteers were going to do initially to now.
An ambassador.
Yeah.
So essentially her main goal is going to be to start connecting and building a base of volunteer efforts. And she has, I think we gave her like a 4-month period to do this, to set this up. So if we want the year of our volunteer training to go towards downtown ambassadors, I think that's actually a really good idea. And we can just make that request of Brenda. And then any of our other, she was also going to use our current events as training areas for volunteers. After she trains them, she's going to send them out and have them work different events that we do, so that they also become familiar with the downtown, because there's already a set up structure there and there's already people there. So they can learn, because everybody has to go through a learning process. So anyway, I do still very much think this is important for the future and for sustainability. So I would love it if we could do this.
Especially if it's moving towards ambassador, start with that, because it's the main important and the main need right now. Yes.
Sounds good. Okay, the other one is, do we want, we had planned and we were amazing to have an Amiga from Amiga Social Club connect us with our yoga instructor. The yoga instructor has now been doing her work there for months, and she recently made a request that the board help them because it's hot in the sun on Calle Cuatro Plaza, and it's something we asked for shade sales. I know that the city checked on that, Julie, and it was like $23,000 for shade sales. I don't know why, but we ended up going out and purchasing tents. So we have like 4 tents now to keep them out of the sun so that folks that are practicing, but we also had a goal of the 2 other days of the week, another wellness program was Zumba instruction. And I'm starting to see people, interestingly, on Facebook asking where good Zumba classes that they can take. So I was wondering if we wanted to do that as well as another part to finish off our wellness programming for at least Plaza Calle Cuatro, so that people could have that. And I know that Flora has a contact for me, and I didn't want to go through this process of bringing in someone unless we have sufficient funding and the ability to support
Well,
that.
I think adding the Zumba, the other 2 Saturdays of the month, it will be great. Just so you know, the yoga started with 2 people. Now she has most of the time more than 15, between 15 and 20. Every other Saturday at the plaza. So that's good because people, yes. So that's what we want. That's community building. So we're very happy for that. So if we have another one for the other 2 Saturdays, I think that will be great.
Okay.
Go to the next one
In terms of annual festival and events. So we just completed our annual festival that we do each year, which is Boca de Oro. And I did want to share the numbers with you guys on where we are in terms of this event. And what I'm describing is where we are in terms of the impacts. Let me see if I have it here, because interestingly, community engagement does an amazing job of aggregating our numbers for us. And they put it on their site. But at this point, we now, between 2017 to 2022, we have had 53,500 festival participants. We have had 9,675 student participants from the school district. We've had 610 authors come into our city. We've had 890 visual and performing artists, 39 workshops, and the total amount of money donated by local organizations and businesses, which have been very few, but we've had them, is now at the amount of $383,175 that's been donated towards this program. This year, for the first time, our council members got very involved, and everybody from city council was out here and they were on some stage and they got to speak. And so I feel like it's the very first year of the 6 years that there's a full recognition completely from the district and from the city as to what is going on. And it's taken 6 years to get here, but we are here. And I mean, and we've had articles in the paper, et cetera. So it's been really great. And there's a big report coming out where all of everything will be covered a little bit more. So
Well done. Thank you, Malcolm, so much.
Regular downtown programs, we still have, there's about 17, in the past quarter, we've had 17 events that have been put on by our organization in downtown. Those regular events you all know are every Saturday is the Dancing in the Streets. Dancing in the Streets brings hundreds of people into downtown. And one of the things that I think that a lot of people may not understand, and I really want to make a point of this, is that programming brings people that are not normally here into downtown
to see this district and to possibly shop in this district. How we move them from being here to shopping here is a whole nother story. And we hope that there can be better and stronger partnerships with our businesses to make sure that they are on social media, Yelp, and also have ways of bringing customers in and making sure that that game is strong for us. So when we say we brought into the downtown for like Boca de Oro, I was just getting the numbers from some of our restaurants of how much better they do in their business on that day. And I have to wait till 1 to get that, but we had the Zydeco, the Travel Santa Ana has done a thing where they check every cell phone that's in downtown on the day of, and they run the numbers. And they've showed us that the numbers for this event is like higher than anywhere else in the whole city. And they've also shown, which is really interesting because they had a very specific number on that Zydeco, they showed Cervecacito. And interestingly, Cervecacito sort of opened almost near the pandemic, very similar to Perlas. They have visitors that they're showing tracking coming in from outside, and theirs is one of the top places as well. And what's really interesting to me is that like that data is showing up because there was almost more people just even at that one location. Anyway, I just want to say that we're starting to track the numbers to tell you how many people are coming, and we really need to figure out as a district how we're going to get the people into our businesses. They come to the downtown, we need to get them into the businesses. So that's anyway, that is downtown regular programs. So our regular programs are important, whether or not right now it's the best thing to focus on. I think we should continue to have activation of our streets in order to bring people downtown. The other thing is the marketing campaign. Well, we just talked about a brand new idea today, which we will meet on. But the marketing campaign actually would be, we are working on a new branding. And I think that Claudia Nafa was going to discuss it. She has a whole new brand sheet because Maria made a suggestion. I don't know if you want to tell us about that, Maria.
So there's been some confusion with Calle Cuatro Marketplace as a brand being part of Santa Ana Business Council. So I suggested, why don't we have like a soft rebranding, and you guys, Santa Ana Business Council, sometimes people think you're the city council, but you're not. So I said, why don't you embrace the Calle Cuatro DTSA? Everybody comes to Calle Cuatro or La Cuatro, if you know. So we suggested, let's change the name, and ever since, numbers have gone up on social media too. It's shorter to remember, it's easier to type. So we just need to still change the website, the brand, so it's official, the Calle Cuatro DTSA.
Yeah, you will get it on your inbox, in your email. The board members will get it today. Probably you have it already. It was almost ready, but what FedEx was not open. I was going to bring all these copies for you guys to vote and see which one it's better, and then go to the businesses and again do that survey, which one they like more, so we can pick up one and move forward.
Good job. Kid-friendly cities campaign. So we have been working, there's a big group of folks that have been working diligently to pull together our first kid-friendly cities campaign, which is going to be on the 24th of April at Calle Cuatro Marketplace. There's a beautiful flyer that's been put out. This is an event that is helping us to reimagine the public square, essentially, of Plaza Calle Cuatro and how it can be for children. We have a lot of different activities and events and Mamis Unidas and different groups, OC Mom, all coming, and they're going to bring their children, and we are going to start to talk about what needs to be implemented in this city to have better and more kid-friendly spaces. And we also have Denise Reynoso from the Neighborhood Association coming out to do reading. We also have a lot of a beautiful aggregate of people, and I'm very excited and I'm very thankful at all of the hard work, because as folks know, it takes a long time to actually organize this stuff.
And there's booths. I don't know, do you know, Mario, the number of booths we have? 17 booths are gonna be at this location, which is right over at Plaza Calle Cuatro on that day. And we have different partners, like from our local businesses as well, participating. Including the hair cutting is gonna have right across the street, the guy who does haircuts is gonna give some kind of a discount. We have like the Worst House, we have Norte Gonzalez, we have La Michoacana, all these different places, including we asked Anna's Everything store. So a lot of folks coming together. Downtown annual forum date. The downtown annual forum date has been changed. And I'm just gonna let you guys know, we have it scheduled for the Frida for May, for the end of May. But we decided, I talked to Ryan, and since we've had a lot more communications now between ourselves, between Ana Laura, between everybody, we really wanted to do an annual forum to showcase and share what is happening in downtown, and with Carla, of course, too, because I'm saying all of the different groups of people, we want to be able to start talking about as a group, and we wanted to have this annual forum to bring together a community meeting. That's even another, I know you guys have been doing a lot of town hall meetings and a lot of advocacy meetings, but we wanted to kind of do a meeting that also shares some of the history and celebrate some of our accomplishments and things that we've done together as groups. So this is something that Ryan suggested we do it in July. And he said that it would be better if we did that, and then we can invite everybody as a collective to come in. And the thing for me personally is I really trust, Ryan has better, he has all of the names of everybody in this downtown. He has better lists, and when he calls together a meeting, if our target goal is 400 people, they will all show up. So I don't have that same kind of ability. So I really want a well-attended event, and I want everybody to be included. So I would like it if we could agree that it would be better to have this in July. Okay. Well, we had an event during Boca that was a mural project at the Blue Lot. I just wanted to let everybody know the slurry seal has been completed. The Blue Lot is ready to go, and it got its CUP or its license from the city. Hernandez and Mintai were with him, and he got his thing. So that lot is, congratulations to everybody for the hard work. The lot is now open and can be utilized again for public events and for private events. And it's very fortunate, and we're very excited because I know a lot of people, we rely on that space. And it's been great. And the public will campaign to help has been amazing. And the fact that the whole lot is finished now, we have a beautiful UK artist who did a tribute to the Ukraine in that lot in blue and yellow. It's beautiful. If you haven't seen it, you should go by there and just see the whole thing. But that's ready, and it's another space that we can activate in downtown. And then we also have a lot of work being done with murals as well around Raul's business, which is amazing because in the beginning you used to not like murals, but you have like opened up and there's so much happening. And it's very exciting. And then council advocacy, and that's basically just that. I know that I wasn't at the very first city council meeting because we were in the beginning of Boca de Oro. Ryan went and he represented the downtown merchants from our groups there. I was able to go to the second city council meeting, and I did speak at the very end to city council, and then we just had an OCTA meeting, and I apologize, Teresa, but there was I know that I might have come off like poorly in terms of you, but I wanted folks to know in this community that when we fought for mitigation, we did not fight for marketing. We fought for everyone to have a fund that they could draw from. And I felt like at the very beginning, it kind of seemed as though we were okay with just marketing and programming. And I just wanted them to know that that's not true. So anyway, but that was our last. So we've had a series of advocacy meetings. We've also had breakfast with a councilman
Very
is gonna be a
successful.
continued program, because Jonathan Martinez wants to come and meet people.
Mendoza.
personally. I mean, Hernandez wants to come.
Hernandez,
He wants to
Hernandez,
come and
right.
meet people more. He really liked having that personal engagement at the meeting. So we're gonna do it again. We're looking for a date right now with Yesenia from the city. And we'll host a second one. And any of you who were not there, please come and speak directly to your councilman and tell him about your struggle and your thing. He wants to be able to talk to you. And we'll do it at Mil Jugos. And it'll be in the morning, probably at 9 o'clock. So all of you are invited.
Thank you, Natalia. Julie, are you still there?
Julie,
Hello,
our
Julie.
fearless city liaison.
I'm here.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Can you start, Julie, please?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Thank you for being here, Julie. Thank you. Can you go ahead,
Yeah,
please?
sorry I wasn't there in person. You know, I always try to make it there in person, and it lands on our Friday off, and so sometimes there's things I got to do with the kiddos. Like this morning, I had to take them to an orthodontist, so there was no way around that. So I apologize. Just really quickly, I want to give an update. The first thing is the business grants. So the 71 businesses have been paid a business grant through the huge effort that all of the merchants have come together upon, and that City Council has granted 1.5 million. I would like to kindly ask that Santa Ana Business Council help me continue marketing these business grants, because we still have quite a bit of funding left over. We're only at $840,000 allocated. So we still have about half of the grant left over. We want to focus on businesses that are only on 4th Street, because those are the ones that are mainly affected. If there's businesses on French, Bush, Sycamore, Main, Broadway, etc., we're going to hold off on paying those business grants until we get through all of the businesses on 4th. Because as Teresa told you earlier, construction's moving faster, which means that it's going to hit all the other businesses on 4th.
Julie, is
Next.
there a link to the grant that we could share?
Yes, I emailed it to you a couple weeks ago, but what I will do, Madeline, is I will email you that again and hand you a newer version of the application, because the city also has approved grants for independent contractors that are on 4th Street and that work regularly in the downtown.
So there's a few different grants I know that we've gotten, but I will look for that and we'll get it to every board member and then also put it out again in the social media, because I'm not sure which one you're describing.
And I'll send you the new app too, because we revised it a little bit, just a little. Alrighty, on the topic of special events, please keep me posted on the direction that you guys prefer for special events. But basically, I want to remind you that public property, like the streets and the sidewalks, are open and available for all and anyone. Now, there's a caveat to that. If there's a street closure, it requires 80% signature approval. So that's where you guys have the muscle. Now, if the organizer gets 80% approval, then obviously they have the support. So I wanted to just shed light on that so that you guys know the pros and cons on that 80% approval, and remind you that public streets are exactly that. They're public streets and we have to respect that. On continuing on special events, I want to remind you guys that the Blading Cup event is coming April 28th through May 1st. It's going to be a very huge event. We will be doing prepay at the parking structure at Fiesta. But as mentioned before, we will be our staff will be asking, hi, are you here for the event or are you here as a regular customer? And people identify themselves very quickly. If they're here as a regular customer, then they'll get honored 2 hours free parking. If they're here for the special event, then it'll be $10 per car. Employees are also in that boat as well. So if they're here as an employee, they can just pull a regular ticket and we will honor that. Another event that's coming up is Cito de Mayo. That's going to be on the west end over there by Cervezacito. It's hosted by them. That'll be May 7th. And the biggest event that I want to tell you guys about to start preparing for sales and also for logistics, parking, etc., for your employees and yourself, is the Pride Parade and Festival. That's going to be Saturday, June 25th. We're anticipating about 10,000 people at that event at minimum. Because of all of the issues with special events, I'm working more closely with Santa Ana PD to activate more designated spaces. And I heard you guys loud and clear talking about this before, so I'm just going to basically piggyback on what you guys said, that yes, we will be activating the plaza, Birch Park, the paseos, promenades, the blue lot, collaborating with Ruben, and then the parking structures, the top floors, so that we can avoid street closures in order to accommodate, the needs of parking and the businesses. One thing that I heard you guys talk about with special events that I thought maybe would be a good suggestion now or in the future is to purchase a stage and to purchase generators, the larger size generators and floodlights, something that we can store and use and repurpose and not have to rent out every single time. I know that you guys have some funds now, and maybe we can partner between the three, the city, Downtown Inc., and Santa Ana Business Council to purchase that level of equipment or stage, similar to what we did with the traffic control equipment that has been very beneficial for everybody. Alrighty, moving on to parking structures. The revenue in the parking structures, as you guys know, is very, very low. Free parking Monday through Friday, 2 hours free parking on the weekends and evenings, obviously is generating very low revenue. And we have also had a lot of monthly parking patrons cancel their accounts. So the revenue is very low. And I just want to remind you guys that that's how we funded a lot of things in the past. And so obviously, because there's no funding now in that revenue account, then please, start preparing alternative funding sources if you're going to start seeking it. What I'm saying is like the merchant fund account, that's going to be delayed further. Special events. Okay, we talked about that. Oh, again, for parking structures, we've increased cleaning. You guys know we have 24/7 security guards. We hired a full-time painter to remove graffiti. We're improving the equipment, and the elevators have all been restored. And so, there's positive progress on that front. Let me see here. Oh, if you guys see any issues with the security guards, please tell me directly right away. Don't wait. Just tell me right away, even if it's a brief text message, because that is a very big contract. It's expensive. It's the downtown's money, and they need to be on point. Let's see here. The last thing that I want to share with you guys is that the city has helped me with some administrative support, which means that I'll be able to go door to door to every single business in downtown and provide one-on-one business services. And I should be able to start that next week, beginning Monday. Because no matter how much money is allocated for the downtown businesses through grants, it's not going to be enough. So business services are necessary, innovation, creative strategies, e-commerce, different approaches are absolutely necessary in order for these businesses to survive. The grants alone or any subsidy is not going to be sufficient. So we're taking an intentional, pivot towards that. And then just in closing, I want to thank Santa Ana Business Council for hosting these meetings in 2 languages and offering the translation. It makes a big difference. I think that you guys need a bigger venue so that more people can sit more comfortably and be at the table instead of at the sidelines. I would also like to encourage you to invite Amber Campos. She's the new special events coordinator to your next meeting. And the last thing is that I wanted to also thank you all for your constructive feedback to me. I also want to apologize in case I've offended anybody or disrespected anyone or came off a little standoffish. I see very, very clearly how our demeanor and our approach can throw people off, even if we don't intend to. And I just want to remind everybody to have the same level of respect that you expect. And I certainly will adjust and adapt to that, because I'm not perfect and I'm not too big to apologize for any of my mistakes or errors. And I'm also not too big to accept constructive criticism from anybody. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Julie.
Wait, can I ask one teeny question? Julie, do you know, I've heard from Mark Morley that a lot of the businesses that had put in for grants are still having a lot of problems that maybe they don't have a business license or
No.
they're missing.
No,
And I was just
actually,
curious-
that's not the case right now. We only have 18 businesses that are missing documents. Or you know what? Let me double check because I just had sent him that email last night, giving him an update. But there's some businesses that don't have a business license or certificate of occupancy, but I'm helping them with that one-on-one. And not only that, but we're accommodating, we're expediting, and even if they don't have their certificate of occupancy, as long as they've paid the fee, we're honoring that. And the one thing that's holding things up a little bit is the vendor number, and that's an internal number, which takes finance a little bit longer because like me, you know, it's like one lady that does the vendor numbers. So, and we came at them with like 129 vendor number requests. So they're working as fast as possible, doing the best that they can. But 71 grants have been paid as of today out of the 129. And I anticipate another 100 applications to be received from businesses on 4th.
Great. And we have one more question for you real quick.
Got it.
Carla?
One was, you said 700 businesses were paid, but over.
Carla, I can't hear you very well. Would you? Yeah, thank you.
So you said 71 businesses were paid for over $800,000, right? Is that the 71?
It's $840,000 that has been allocated total for the businesses that have been paid and the ones that are pending vendor number and the ones that are missing documents. The 71 that have been paid totals up to $509,000.
Say that one more time, the last part, I lost you.
71 grants that have been paid. That equates to $509,000.
Okay, so the other funds were for what?
The other funds that are pending, the 300,000-ish, is for the businesses that are pending a vendor number or are missing documents.
So then that would put us at 800.
Correct. A total allocation of 840.
Cool. And another question, when you are going to start coming to the downtown starting next week, will it be only yourself or will Sylvia be involved as well?
No, Sylvia handles the rest of the city. She was helping me out while I was out on leave. But I go to downtown every day. But my goal to do the one-on-ones is going to start Monday.
Okay, so you're going to be the only one there?
I'm the designated downtown liaison. So that's my role. Yes.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Okay, Claudia Mata is not here, so we're.
No, she's working on the logos for the rebranding, but you will get them in your inbox.
Okay.
So then look at them and then select the ones you like.
Okay.
Is there anything else, Maria, for communications?
Yes, for communications, folks, Black Market Bakery, in the Centura building, they just announced that after 6 years, they will be shutting their doors. Visit them before Saturday at 2 p.m. They still have other locations that you can visit and support, but that's a sad loss, but we enjoyed them. Mix Kitchen and Bar, as of March 19th. They also announced they will be closing, or not really closing, they're open now for buyouts and pop-ups, so special events. Just some fun news. Julie already went over the Cito de Mayo. We went over the Kids Friendly City, April 24th. A really fun, exciting announcement at the Blue Lot. There's a soft opening this Saturday if you're available from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. But May 7th, which is also Art Walk night from 2 to 10, Chivo Market, which is another market that's coming, they're going to be starting the residency at the Blue Lot. So that will be happening at the same time as Art Walk.
Wow.
So thank you, folks.
Teresa had some.
Oh, just a reminder, Julie said something about, you guys wanting to buy equipment But that is an eligible expense for use of the OCTA funds that you have remaining. So just to remind you that
Our board, by the way, did already buy a generator and we used it to power the stage at Birch Park this last time. But I think for me, it's that we really need our infrastructure I really believe that besides us having equipment to take out, which for instance, we paid $500 for the clean team to actually move the equipment out into the city. Like that's a group of people that does that labor, the manual labor to bring that. It would be just nice if our spaces had it embedded into it.
The infrastructure.
Can you do,
It's
can
like the back
OCTA do any type of infrastructure improvements for this? No.
Well, thank you, everybody, for your time and being here. I'm gonna adjourn the meeting at 10:55.
Wow.
Thank you.